having the ability to say to myself, I don't care what anyone else is going to say, this is going to happen. And just in my heart and in my soul knew it was going to happen. A lot of people be like, oh, you manifested it. No, I knew this was going to happen. And I knew that whatever steps I took to move that needle, I had to do quickly and I had to do with a partner. And that's the only way that we had it done.
Welcome to Working Women Mentor, a podcast that empowers everyday women like you, like me, to share and learn from life's mentor moments. I am your host, Rani Alfers, and in each episode, you will meet inspiring women that understand the power of recognizing mentor moments and how those moments can change it all. These fabulous women are here and ready to share it all with you. So let's dive in. Hey everyone, today's guest is Beth Nydick. Beth is a former TV producer and New Jersey-based publicity and business strategist. She's an expert that helps entrepreneurs and media personalities go from undiscovered to unforgettable. And today, with her roster of celebrity clients and rising entrepreneurs, we get a behind the scenes of what we maybe need to do to raise our brand, to be visible in this world today, in whatever business you're in whatever profession you're in. But not only that, she's been featured, in Oprah and Forbes and on the Dr. Oz show, The Chew, The Tonight Show. She is a co-author of the top-rated cookbook, Clean Cocktails, and she shares a recipe with us today that is outstanding. I have been mixing up her cocktail recipes quite a bit lately, so I hope you will too. And everyone gets to meet Beth today and listen to her story and her belief in mentorship and how that might help you, our listener. Let's jump in. Beth Nydick, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Oh, Rani, I'm so excited to be with you. We always have such a great time together.
Oh, well, yes, it's so fun. You have so much to talk about, and you're in so many areas of the world and business and life that we never have a shortage of conversation, right?
No, not at all. But I think these conversations are important for, our audiences to hear that people really do support each other, and we really just want everyone to level up together. I think I love what you're doing for that reason.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with you. And it's so important for women to know that it's okay to connect, to be kind to each other, to really reach out and ask for help or offer advice or whatever it is we can offer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and then on that note, Beth, I'm going to jump right in. We're just going to get right down to it. Clean Cocktails, Righteous Recipes for the Modern Mixologist. Will you tell us about how in the world did you publish a cookbook?
I know. Well, I'm a doer, and I know, Rani, you are too. And this is literally how it happened. So I was a bartender in college. I also have several food allergies, which are a lot of fun. And I don't do well with sugar. So a lot of the cocktails that I was making in college, making at the bars that I was working at, were low sugar. So fast forward about 20 years, I'm literally in my living room with a bunch of my friends having a Cinco de Mayo party, and I made 3 signature cocktails. Without sugar or with, a little bit of honey syrup. And my friends were like, these are amazing. These are drinking all of them and making comments all night about how great the cocktails were. And not in the same way, your steak's really good. So I was standing in my living room and I was like, I need to do this. I just felt it. And I felt like whatever I was going to do with it was going to happen. And I felt like that the entire way. So what I did next was I literally had coffee chats with some of my friends to try to enroll somebody in doing it with me. Because I was very aware that this was not going to happen if I tried to do it by myself. I didn't have the bandwidth. I don't have the bandwidth. I like to collaborate. So I probably met with, 5 or 6 women that were like, that's a great idea. I'd love to do that with you. And they would never hear from them again about that. Only one person committed. Was like, they were not committed. I literally was, so at that time I also had a snack bar company, and I was cutting pieces of snack bar at a health conference at a law firm in my area, very, just kind of random thing. And this woman, Tara, that I met there. And I was like, there's something about Tara. I have to have lunch with her. So I go to her office and we talk for an hour, and I was like, I have an idea for us. And she thought I was going to be like, let's do a cleanse together. Let's create something together. And I was like, I have a cookbook idea. What do you think? So I lay out the whole idea, and she was in.
Wow.
Unbeknownst to me, she had a client who was a New York Times bestseller. And within a month, that client introduced us to her agent. The agent liked the idea. We wrote a proposal within the first 2 months. Like I said, he didn't respond right away, so we were looking at other agencies. And I went on Facebook and spoke to all those other agents, and the other agents gave me a lot of confidence that the idea was good. That's one thing throughout the whole process. I knew the idea was solid because whoever I told to, no matter what their demographic was or what walk of life they came from, they were like, "That's awesome. Can I see that? Can I come, taste the mistakes
Yeah.
kind of thing."
Yes. Be a
Um,
part of the audience.
yeah, and it was really like we literally went into New York City with ball jars full of cocktails and mixers, and would sit in. We had 3 meetings. We sat in 3 boardrooms and got them drunk because we brought full drinks to these hour meetings. Like everybody's got like 3 cocktails in front of them, and it's like 11:30 in the morning.
They're like, yes, we'll take it. We want
Yeah,
this book.
exactly. We were lucky enough to get a great offer, and we took it. That was in November. The book was due, I think, April 1st. Worked with an amazing photographer. My co-writer Tara and I. Tara happens to also be a nutritionist. Her company is called Highway to Well, and she's amazing. And she just is a doer. She's somebody who gets stuff done, and that's why we work well together. But we were the food stylist for the book. And the book came out that December. So within about 18 months, we went from idea to published book. And it was just that train that this is a good idea. This is going to happen, and never wavering from that's going to happen. Like plenty of people told me, who do you think you are? My uncle said to me, you barely drink. What are you doing? And my parents were like, what are you doing now? Like, I don't understand. What do you like, a lot of those kind of things, a lot of sideways looks. But when my book came out and we were featured in Oprah, we were featured in Good Housekeeping, we were featured in, Forbes and Inc. and all those places you want to be. That's when everyone turned around and was like, oh, can I have a copy?
Right.
That's when
Yeah.
everything changed. But it was having the good idea. It was I know it was a good idea from the start. Having the ability to say to myself, I don't care what anyone else is going to say, this is going to happen. And just in my heart and in my soul knew it was going to happen. A lot of people be like, oh, you manifested it. No, I knew this was going to happen. And I knew that whatever steps I took to move that needle, I had to do quickly, and I had to do with a partner. And that's the only way that we had it done.
Well, I'm curious, once you had the book done, do they help you with the publicity of it? Or is that something that you handled on your own? I mean, yeah, exactly. How much support
Well,
comes? Yeah.
a little bit support comes, because the book does go out and they have their people who, always put it in the magazines. We were in like Parade twice as like the best new cookbooks. That was from them. So working with a traditional publisher, the PR department has like 50 titles they're working on, and we were small potatoes, right? Like we weren't anybody. So we had actually hired this wonderful woman to do PR for us for 3 months for a lot of $1,000, lots of thousands of dollars, and got very little. We were kind of like new people. Nobody really knew who we were. Well, I think I had like 20,000 followers over all my social media. So then we just took the reins. And we just started calling people and calling in favors and asking for help. Like went to my Facebook page, who works in TV, who works in magazines, and people love the idea of the cookbook and were just helping us. I'll tell you a quick story. I was sitting with Tara on her porch calling celebrity publicists to see if we could send them our book. And I was calling
Wow.
from, I think I called it Celebrity Cookbook Productions. Hi, this is Angela from Celebrity Cookbook Productions. I'm interested in sending Tom Cruise a copy of the cookbook to see if he would like it, because you don't ask them to share it. You just have to send celebrities who send stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we probably sent out 50 books. We never got a celebrity endorsement, but it was just funny or fun that we were on her porch, a little drunk, calling celebrity publicists pretending to be a cookbook publicist.
You're cocktail dialing. Yeah. Well, and I think when I think of a cookbook, I never think of cocktails, right? I think of something different. So the books, I have several books sitting on my bar that are all cocktail. I don't think I've opened them, Beth. And so what I like though is, well, because I'm terrible at measuring and doing all of those things, but I like that yours is so unique and natural, and ingredients that you have. And I feel like that's something that we're all gravitating to these days, just that more natural and healthier approach.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's if you're going to have one, don't have a sugary,
Ugh,
super,
mojito or
ugh.
something, right?
Oh my gosh, I know. It's, hold the sugar, please. But then when they hold the sugar, then it's like, I'll just take some lime juice and water. Thanks so much with that because then there's no other flavor left. I have been using my herb garden lately. And,
Mm-hmm.
this is a funny thing. My team and I, we laugh about it. They're like, what did you make this week? And I said, well, I tried peach and basil. I'm trying these, different, like I did watermelon and mint. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying these different combinations with these herbs with whatever comes to mind. So would you share a cocktail recipe with us? And I want to post it and show notes and those things. But
oh,
what
totally.
do you suggest? Yeah, tell me what to do. Oh, and with tequila. With something with tequila base, perhaps. Can I be specific?
Something with tequila. Yeah, of course. I'm like, I look at my book. So we have one that's grapefruit juice, lemon, and tequila and sage. And I know it sounds a little weird to put sage in your cocktail, but it's one of our most made cocktails that we get responses from. That's like an ultimate. Another ultimate, like you said, it was watermelon, mint, and tequila, or mezcal, actually.
Okay, mezcal. Yep. Okay, yeah, I'm on track. So I haven't done anything with sage yet, so that's perfect. I'm going to try that. And you muddle all of that together, and then I just learned. I had a friend over recently, and she was straining and making these cocktails, and I said, "Straining? Yeah, that's what I forget. I've been muddling and beating the hell out of everything in the jar, but I haven't strained it. So I would end up with a big cup of mush.
I'm glad you figured that out.
I did. Yeah, I watched her. I was like, darn it, that's the step I'm forgetting. Okay, so yeah, muddle it all together, pour it over ice.
You're done.
All right, crushed ice, cubed ice. Oh yeah, make a picture, of course.
I like crushed ice. That's my favorite, but I also do love those, like, I don't know if you've seen the new refrigerators that make sphere ice.
Oh, I have. That's very fancy. My refrigerator does not make sphere ice.
No, mine either.
I have some trays that are the big cubes.
Yep, me too.
But those are good, But I like the crushed ice too. It's interesting. It feels more the consistency sort of blends with everything or something. I think when you're when you're enjoying it. What does mentorship mean to you? And do you have a mentor moment maybe earlier in your career that stands out to you now?
I do. I have to say that I had early mentors in my TV career, and it was really what I remember most is actually being seen and supported. So when I think about mentorship, and I mentor a couple of women as well, that's what it's about. It's, we can nuts and bolts how to do marketing and PR and how to write a great post and all that stuff. But if you aren't seen and you aren't allowed the space to really step into your leadership and who you want to be, then there's not success there. So I think that finding somebody who can hold that space for you and that can push you a little bit, Rani, I'm from Jersey. So I do a lot of Jersey love in my own special East Coast way. But I think that's a big part of it. And for me, I didn't find mentorship in the online space until years and years in. And people often hear me say that I wish I had hired a coach that first time. I wish I made that investment the first time, because I know that I'd be at a different place.
Well, exactly. If you knew that you'd be if you could only go backwards, right? And have hired that coach, that hindsight is always much, much clearer. And you had these mentor relationships and you mentor people now, of course, but you took the industry that you were in. I mean, you for 20 plus years, right? And you've turned it into a business. I mean, what's that journey been like for you? Where are you now with things?
So it's so funny you say that, because I feel like everything I've been doing for the last 20 years has gotten to me to this point. It's gotten me to be able to be. So last week, a TV show called me to come on and do a cocktail. That's where I've gotten to. Like when producers call you, it's like you've won the freaking Oscar. But I think that like my years of TV and being in that kind of media, and then being an online entrepreneur and being an online personality has really gotten me to a place where I know who I am and how I want to step forward and how I want to support people and how I want to be seen and how I want to show up. Like all that stuff's so much clearer now. But I feel like I'm standing on top of all those amazing producers that taught me something, all those amazing coaches that I had, or amazing mastermind, other people in my masterminds together that supported me and held up a mirror for me to really be like, oh, I'm pretty freaking awesome. And I'm going to let other people see that. Because I think that so many times I meet amazing women. I'm sure you do too. We meet these amazing women who just keep themselves small, whose husbands are supportive, but only to a point, or their kids or their best friend or whomever. And they listen too much to those people that don't know what they're talking about off online space, right? Because what we do in the online space is so very different than the real world, they say. It's this very, sometimes loving, but very supportive and wanting people to win. So when we can have that kind of experience, then you can really step into who you want to be. And I think that entrepreneurship is really all about personal development. And the more that you can develop who you are and let people see that, the more successful you are. And I don't mean monetarily. Yes, that's going to come, but more successful being yourself and being happy and being content and being clear and all those things that all those awful marketing posts tell you that you need to have.
That's a good way to say that, isn't it? But you've taken, all these years of experience, and now you are in a thriving business. You are in several different areas. I like what you say about that mirror, because you really do have to see those qualities in yourself. Are there certain qualities that you identified later that you didn't initially? That you thought when you realized, wow, I'm really good at this. I am really good at what I do. Were there qualities that you didn't even see in yourself?
There actually was a moment that a mindset switch. So when we were in person, I would do 2 events a week and do networking stuff, whatever was going on. And I'd be in a circle of people and I'd start talking and everyone else would shut up. And for a long time, I was like, why did everyone stop talking? Until I realized, they stopped talking to listen to me. And that was the switch for me to really be more aware. And honestly, I don't remember if somebody said something, if it was more like, I think a time that I was talking and somebody else talked over me. And I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't happen very often. Because I think for me, I often forget. And this is, the reason I love podcasting is because you can be 100% honest, because you're not, it's an audio. So for me, I can be 100%. Like, I sometimes forget of the personal brand that I've created from my experience. I forget who I am or what I've created, or, and sometimes I get hit in the face like, or like a producer calling me. I'm like, I forgot I've worked 25 years for somebody to call me to ask me to do something.
And they should be calling me, but I just forgot, right?
I just forgot, because we're, I'll age myself, but I was born in the 70s and we were not told that we could do anything. I was told that I could do anything, but we didn't have the images or the support or, the people to look up to say, whatever you want to do, you can do. I was definitely raised with a little bit of that. And being a middle child, I'm always looking to be the center of attention.
That's not a bad thing though, isn't it?
No, not for me.
I'm visualizing you standing around a group of people and there's silence, right? With all that attention sort of focused on you and what you have to say. And wow, has that translated? Because now people, again, are asking you to speak. You've been a speaker. You've been, you've taken that quality that you have and you're really leveraging it. It's really, really impressive. And as you do that, you are also helping others. So you are a strategist and a coach and mentor business owners. What do you think? Well, and you're mentoring them on being visible, but what is so unique about your approach, Beth?
The one difference that I think that from my point of view is like, I need my coach to hold my hand. So I'm going to hold your hand. And I think that people come to me after they've been to those big coaches that have told them the why they should do something and the what it's about and how you need to think. But not every coach or strategist or consultant, because we're all basically the same, it's just fancy words, actually gives you the step-by-step differentiator to actually make those things happen. Because we've all sat in those webinars and we listen for an hour. We're like, yes. And we had these huge ahas, but then we get to your desk and you're like, wait, what was I supposed to do?
How do I do that again? What did he say? What did she say? Yes.
Exactly. So when people work with me, we're actually working on that stuff. I'm actually giving you a step-by-step. I'm actually giving you the templates, or I'm actually working through what that looks like, because to be completely honest, like, that's what I need. So I'm going to give you what I need. And if you're my people, then that's what you need too. So, I hear a lot from the people that work with me. I've spent 20 grand on this coach and I've gotten X. And I've worked with you for a month and I can't believe the difference. And the difference is that, having somebody who's been in this business for a long time and having somebody that, my point of view is from publicity. My point of view is from exposure, getting you seen, getting you visible, and people seeing you. So I think when I come to that from that way, instead of how to scale, how to make money, how to find clients from that direction, you know what I mean? Like, I just come to it from a different direction. I think it allows my clients the space to scale bigger, broader, and I would say make more money, get more credibility, and get more clients. And that's what it's really all about.
So do you start with a granular approach, it sounds like, and then you take them on that path to big picture and where their brand and where their visibility will be eventually?
I do. I actually say to my clients, we're going to sit down and I'm going to deep dive into your life for 90 minutes. And if you cry at the end, then we're successful. Like if we're both crying, because I want
you
to hear
hit
the good
gold if you're crying, right? You got right to the nerve.
Yeah, like I used to say when I was doing more in nutrition and I was doing one-on-one clients as a nutritionist years and years and years ago. I always said to my husband, if they cry, they buy. Like that's if you can hit me in the heart, I'm yours forever. So when I work with my clients, I'm like, I want those stories that are going to make your people cry, and not only cry from being sad or being happy, but cry because they understand. That's what I want everyone to get. Like if you can hit somebody and they can understand where you're coming from, then they're your person. They're going to be in your life. So, my clients laugh about it, but after we're crying, I'm like, I told you so. Like that's, that's the journalist in me really trying to get down to the story, because sometimes I find that we're so afraid to tell that real story. And I've done it too. Things happen in our lives and we get so afraid to actually tell the real story. But when somebody else can mirror those stories for you and say, that's okay to tell people, you have to tell people. Like there's that Dean Graziano and Tony Robbins saying, like, if you're not giving to the world, you're doing a disservice. And if you can really hold on to that and believe that, then your attitude towards what you do changes. So when I work with somebody, we really get granular in that way, like who you really are, what you're really about, and not the marketing message and all that kind of stuff, but actually at the core, what you want people to understand about your passion or your life, or what that one thing that you want people to get. Like, for example, my marketing message is I will take you from undiscovered to unforgettable. But what my media message is, and what you'll hear me talking about all the time, is creating your own opportunity for success. Because everybody listening to this podcast can be successful by taking their lives in their own hands. That's like the secret. That's the secret, guys. To really being successful is like you being in charge and having leadership. So when I work with people, we do that. And then we go into, what's missing in your business. Because I started doing what I do now because I saw a hole in my friends' businesses and in my colleagues' businesses. Like they would have like a great marketing funnel and great social media, but they didn't nurture their email sequence. Or they had great, a great audience on their email, but they only posted on Instagram once a week. Or they were just talking about the humdrums of marketing and not what the bigger picture or the bigger story or the bigger idea was. So I really just try to capture all of that and make it something that's manageable. And then I sick my publicists on them to get as much publicity for them as they can.
That final step. It's like, right? Let loose, ladies.
Yeah. Because to be on live TV, let's say we're going to put you on your local television and you're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. A lot of people want to throw up at the idea. Like, and I say throw up because that's what people say to me all the time. They're like, oh my God, you're going to make me throw up. Because I'm challenging you to really step into who you are. And when you can show up on a platform that's not under your control and you can feel successful about it, everything changes. And I've seen those changes in my clients, like from standing up better to losing 20 pounds to, finally getting Botox, whatever it is they needed to do to be able to show up. It fills my heart every day. And that's why I sit here at my desk every day to really make a difference, because it pains me when I see the special people out there who are trying so hard, but they just can't get out of their own way.
Well, and you give people permission to get out of their own way is what I'm hearing. Yep. And, and we need that. And we need that from someone like you, who actually we believe because you've done it. You've been there, done that, and you also see that potential. So I love the support from that level, but also that light bulb that switches. Have you had an instance just watching a client on TV and you knew that was their moment, that they'd make that change?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And it's usually their fifth or sixth time on local television or regional television. And I'm like, there's the star. There she is. Or there he is. I can see.
It's like a proud mama, change. Right? It's like,
oh my God. Well, I have 2 teenage boys. So, I don't get a lot of love. I don't get a lot of, what's the right word?
Not anymore. Yeah. They're like,
I get a lot of love, but I don't get a lot of like, you're the best, mom. Actually, I take that back. I have to tell you, I did a segment working with a Mezcal brand, and I did a segment on TV, and they were very impressed by that. I was like, I've been doing this for 10 years. We get packages every day. I'm on TV and magazines. The mezcal, that's what they were excited about.
Until you get to the cocktail culture, that's visible
like,
for mezcal, right? That's so interesting.
Exactly. But I think that people understanding that it's just them standing in their way and it's not that hard. Like, how many times have I been told, like, PR is hard. You say it's easy. I'm like, it's actually really easy. It really, really is. It's just getting out of your own way, sending those pitches, picking up the phone. Go, anyone that wants PR, this is my big tip. Go on Facebook, go to your town's Facebook page and type who here works in media and see what happens. That's one of the things that I do with my clients or my group, like whatever I'm working with, like go to your Facebook page, enroll your community. If you don't have your community behind you, then you need to go back to the start and start there, because those people know you, they know your kids, like depending on, I live in the same town as my parents and my in-laws. So everyone knows my family. So if your town isn't behind you, start there, because the exposure that you can get by telling people what you did, like when I first started my podcast, New Jersey Mom Starts Podcast, Livingston Mom Starts Podcast, like all that stuff was out there. And I was getting DMs and messages for people I went to high school with saying, hey, you need to meet my friend. You need to do this and do that. But I'll tell you quickly
the story.
They were
behind you. Yeah.
100%. Because what I did for my cookbook, we had an agent who was interested, but we weren't getting a lot of feedback from him. So I put on my Facebook page in my town, who knows a book agent? 8 perfect strangers connected me to their friends. And I've used it ever since. If I'm working on a story or a friend of mine needs an expert, go, those town Facebook pages are your first level of publicity. And I think a lot of people miss that.
That's a great tip. That is well, and you have the connection immediately when you do it from that level, right? I mean, people want to help, don't they?
Oh, I mean, totally.
They, especially on Facebook, they're all, they want to connect people. So I think that's a great tip. What other tips, Beth, can you give business owners to help their brand be more visible? Maybe even collaborating with larger companies, or any maybe top 3 visibility tips?
Well, the first one would be consistency. And I know we all talk about clarity and consistency, but it really, it doesn't matter. I would say it doesn't matter what you're putting out there as long as you're putting out something. It does matter. But continuing to put something out on a regular basis, making sure your audience gets your email every Tuesday, having that consistency makes you show up as an expert in your field and being seen differently. The next thing is going back to your contact list and seeing who you already know. So I always caveat this with, I know I live in New Jersey and there's a lot of media people here, but there's a lot of media people everywhere, because your local newspaper is media. Like my first TV spots were on my town's high school TV station. So, everyone always wants to get the Dr. Oz and the Good Morning America. Let's start local. Let's you be the local celebrity and then move from there. I think that's a big miss from a lot of people. And I don't care if you're making 7 figures. If you are not local first, there's no foundation to your house. So start there. And the third one is really have a clear message of what your passion is. Not, like I said before, not your marketing message, the actual message or the actual idea that you need people to understand. And when you could step forward with that in the consistency and showing up locally, that's where that bubbling starts. And that's where everything can explode from. Because how many times have you heard the story, they've never been on TV and now they're the main actress in a TV show, right? Or they got discovered at the coffee shop. Like, you can be an expert in something and get picked up by somebody who has a huge audience that just loves what you have to say and can skyrocket your career just from, one tweet. It's so simple that way.
One tweet does it all, right? Everyone is looking for that that viral tweet that one day they're going to have that message. Well, are you getting any questions on what is a media kit? Are those outdated? Do people still use them in a world of social? What's your advice on what to do with a media kit, and what is one really?
So media kit is basically, media kit is your like online resume, right? We used to have the word resumes. Now we have a picture resume essentially. And it's your one sheeter to allow people know who you are, what you're about, what you've done, and what you can talk about. So it doesn't matter if it's a speaker one sheet or a media kit. I always like my clients to have that, because that's something that they can offer to anybody for that instant credibility. So if you're sending a pitch or a story idea, or you want to work with a brand, or, your local burrito shop is looking for publicity and wants a brand ambassador, like having that one sheet is really important for people to understand who you are. And it's almost like, I think it's almost like a leave behind, because you'll get my email and then we'll have a conversation, and then you need to show, because in publicity, the people that we speak to aren't always the decision makers, right? So once you speak to that person and then they have to go to the decision maker, the one sheet just helps you look like you have more credibility. And I would say it doesn't matter how many things you've done, put that together. You don't need all the logos. You don't need all the fancy stuff. Just have that together, because it looks like it's an asset that you need to look like an expert. And that's what we want to be, right? You're an expert. Because I always say everyone comes to, not everybody, people have said to me before, but I'm not an expert. And this is my answer to that. And anyone that says that to themselves, you are an expert in your own experience in that subject matter. That's it. Right?
That's so simple, so perfect.
Because if you're like, say you're somebody who's really into fitness and nutrition, and you're sharing how you work out and how you eat to be fit, that's your expertise in your business, in your way of doing
exactly that. What you're doing. Yes,
exactly. That's it. And the way that I do my stuff, I don't have like 1 billion degrees and certifications, and like, you don't need that. I'm telling you how it works for me and how it works for my clients. That's why I'm an expert. And having that one sheeter in that media kit's really important. It's one of my product suite. And whenever I talk about it, people buy it, and I get great feedback from it because it helps people. No matter what, even if you're just doing like getting a job, it helps. It's just an add-on that I think makes a big difference.
Yeah. I come across so many resumes with hiring and interviewing, and oh boy, so that initial image that you're putting out there is so important. And I like the idea of this being a one-sheeter. Like, that almost takes some relief off of me just hearing that. I'm like, one sheet, that's it. Let's put this thing together and get it out. So that initial image, because you're right. If that first person, are they pitching you to someone else above them?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're looking at a TV show,
sometimes. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. If say you're pitching your local TV station, the person you're dealing with is probably an associate producer or a producer. They're not the executive producer. So you talk to Rich, the producer, right? He loves your story about doggy bow ties. I'm just making something up, right? He loves doggy bow ties. He's got 2 dogs. He loves doggy bow ties. He then has to sit in a room with all the other producers and the executive producer and probably the anchors or the host, and then sell your idea to them. And if they like it, then you get to be on TV with your doggy bow ties. But if they don't, that he has to pass and he has to come up with something else. So when you can come to any sort of publicity or any sort of media that you want to be on and come with a fully realized idea, not, let's do the doggy bow ties. So the doggy bow ties are great product, but what's the story around the bow ties? Why did you start making the bow ties? Is there a story that you made a bow tie for maybe a man for his wedding, and then they got to walk down the aisle.
The dog walked down the aisle. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, the dog walks down the aisle. We could go so far with this story, couldn't we? Where can our listeners find you, and how can we support you, Beth?
I appreciate that so much. First, the cocktail book is available on all online stores. But I say, if you have a local bookstore, please call them. They need our support right now. They can order it off of from the publishers, and it's relatively the same price, but you're also supporting the bookstore. So please start there. And you can find me on almost every social media platform at Beth Nydick, and at bethnydick.com. You can find all my information. Right now, I'm offering my Media Spotlight magazine. It's 10 pages of articles and worksheets to get you and your business ready for media.
That is perfect. You've told us everything we need to know. You're so lovely. Thank you for joining.
You too. Oh my God. Thanks for having me. This is so much fun.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I hope you'll walk away feeling inspired and are thinking of how a mentor moment can help you or someone you know. In case you haven't hit the follow button to subscribe to this show, please do so. And if you love the episode, I'd really appreciate a review. You see, this review helps Apple or Spotify or whatever platform you're listening to us on know that other women just like you want to learn about the show. And it'll help us spread the word. Let's connect on Instagram at Working Women Mentor or at Rani Alfers. You can find all episodes online at ranialfers.com/podcast and the ability to send an audiogram of your favorite mentor moments. And we respond to everyone. I truly can't wait to hear from you. Check back weekly for new episodes, and cheers until the next episode.